Hi there, I'm Jamie Oliver, and I'm here in New York City to answer fan questions about my brand new cookbook, One. Simple one-pan wonders. Out in America this week. It's been going really well, I'm very excited. I'll be signing copies and talking about my book, so if you'd like to grab one, simply go to premiercollectibles.com/Oliver. So I'm here in New York, as I said, with my friend Kim Urio from YC Media. Kim has been looking after me for the last 20 years in the US. And Kim, you're in charge of all the questions from all these lovely people down the line.
We've got a full queue, so it's going to be a good 45-minute chat, and we're going to really have some fun.
Excellent. So look, I think just to kind of kick it off slowly, this is my latest book, One Pan Wonders. Obviously, it's all about food that's cooked in one pan. It's all about keeping the washing up minimal and the cleanup. I kept the ingredients for every recipe really minimal as well, 8 ingredients or less. And I tried to give you a little bit of everything in this book that would be useful in your lives, in your homes, breakfast, lunches, dinners, sweet treats. I've got chapters on things that I know will be useful to you. So if you just flick through the book, hopefully if you get a copy, just what you'll notice is amazing color, lots of different kind of dishes. I try and get the mixture of recipes that I know you're going to love, like comfort food classics, but also some dishes from countries around the world that maybe you haven't seen yet. So I really hope you love the book as much as I do. Kim, what is the first question from these lovely people?
Well, before I get to them, I do have a big question. So as you were kind to mention, we've worked together for a really long time, and I haven't seen a reaction to this book. It's in a bit of time. Like, you have every show we've done 8 shows in 3 days, and every show the audience goes crazy, the crew goes crazy, and books are really flying off the shelves. And what do you think it is about this book and this time that's really hitting for people?
Look, what I try and do as an author and a food lover is listen to you guys. On social media these days, it's not a British market, it's a global market. And I read probably 300 comments a day normally. My team read thousands. And it really gives you a sense of where people are at, what they're happy about, what they're worried about, what they're nervous about. We've got the cost of living crisis at the moment in many countries around the world, if not all of them. I think it's challenging. And when times are challenging, food, I think, has a really interesting place. Now, obviously, I didn't know about everything that's happened in Ukraine and stuff like that, but certainly, as far as energy is concerned, like cooking in one pan or one pot is, pretty economical. That's where all the data is sort of showing that actually cooking in a pan is much better than, firing up the oven. So that's kind of in the favor of the book. Keeping ingredients low, that's helpful. Whenever I write books, I always try and have a mixture of indulgent and everyday ingredients. So again, like, most of the book is really, for most people, kind of cost effective. It's not flashy, expensive ingredients. And of course, we have some treats in there as well. But I just think the book is really relevant to how people are living now. And also, what is normal, right? What is it to be normal? Everyone's working hard. They're juggling 1,000 things. They hate washing up, especially if you've got kids and family like I have. It's like hectic. So that's what this book was dedicated to, really, trying to be useful to you. And yeah, I mean, so far so good, right?
Right. Hold on.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Cover picture is pasta. There's a whole chapter dedicated to pasta, but they're really sort of special and untraditional. And I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about the pasta.
Yeah, I think, like, with the pasta, obviously traditionally you'd have 2 pans, which of course I still do that, and it's great. But in the kind of spirit of One Pan Wonders, if you flick through this chapter, there's, mushroom carbonara, balsamic pepper pasta, a beautiful stracci primavera with peas, asparagus, edamame.
Wait, tell us about stracci. Is that a shape?
Yeah, it's basically like being sort of scratched up.
Right.
But what I've done is I've used fresh pasta from the supermarkets, which cooks in like 2-3 minutes. So it's quick. It doesn't have to go in the water, which is traditional. You know, what I've done is make these sauces so you cook the pasta in the pan. It's absorbing all that lovely flavor. And if you flick through the chapter, like this one, sausage pappardelle, you know, fennel, Chianti, garlic, tomatoes, parsley, like that takes like 12 minutes to make, and it tastes like something that's been simmering for hours. And I just think that's a really beautiful thing when you come home from a hard day's work. So that's like one chapter.
And then you did American's other favorite on a chapter, chicken, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about the chickens.
Okay, so when I wrote this book, before I even wrote a single, kind of got a bit geeky and started to study what you guys actually buy most weeks, week in, week out, what's in your shopping basket. And, you know, generally, you know, as a general rule, people are buying chicken. They're buying chicken legs, chicken thighs, salmon fillets, things like that. So chicken's such a kind of a protein of choice that I thought, right, okay, if you listen to what people are saying online, they're kind of getting bored. Oh, what should I do next? I'm kind of bored of it. So like, well, I'm not having that. Well, I don't want you to be bored with the chicken. So whole chapter, and I called it Celebrating Chicken. We've got tray bakes, all in one tray, bang it together in, let the oven do all the hard work. Again, if you look at the pictures, it's full of like different colors, different textures, whole chickens, chicken legs, chicken thighs, and there's flavors from around Europe, from around Asia, from all around the world, and I've really used that as inspiration. And I got to cook a really nice chicken miso dish on Good Morning America yesterday.
It was voted by the voters out of the three
it's this
chickens.
this one here,
Yum.
and really, really nice. So yeah, I mean, the reason I did that wasn't just because I thought, oh, I've got a lot of chicken recipes. The reason I wrote that chapter is because I know that you all have it. Obviously, vegetarians and vegans aside.
But you put all the substitutions in too, right?
Yeah, I did substitutions if you are a veggie or vegan for all of these recipes. They've all been tested with the substitutions as well. And that's really good. And actually, as a whole book's concerned, yes, we've got meat, we've got fish, but I've really tried to find really delicious, cool, contemporary ways to sort of celebrate veggies. There's a really nice array of veggie vegan dishes in the book as well. So I've tried to have a little bit of something for everyone.
And I see too, just one quick last thing on the chicken, that you celebrate legs and thighs, drumsticks. Yeah. And so why have you chosen that?
Because the largest majority of people are buying the most economical way to get chicken, and the largest majority is chicken and thighs. They're often on discount, and so many of you have got them. So look, I guess just to be really frank, before I even started writing any recipes in this book, I was trying to take away the barriers for you to not cook, right? There's so many reasons why to not cook anymore, you know? So obviously the one pot, the one pan was like about washing up mess, you know, capping the ingredients was about keeping it really, really simple for you guys. But also if I write recipes with ingredients that I know that you have, then probably a large proportion of this book you can cook now because I know that you've already bought it. So that's kind of the theory. So I was just trying to, you know, basket data, which is what it is completely accurate. So that's what I was responding to. And I wanted to write a modern day classic that was super useful and that people would use, and that would be useful now as it would be in 10 years' time. And also the other thing as well is it's brilliant for beginners, it's brilliant for intermediate cooks, but also for the great cooks out there, you know, who really can cook. Yes, they don't need me per se, right? They don't need me, but because I've done all the hard work for them, like all the shopping lists are written out, I've kept it all very, very simple. I have found that a lot of really good cooks have also been used in the book. So I'm really excited by that. So a book for everyone.
Fantastic. So I'm going to switch gears for a second, because one of our wonderful readers has written in to ask, what do you really, what does your family eat? What do you cook for the family?
Right.
And wait, remind everybody how big the family is.
Okay, well, I've got 5 kids, 3 girls, 2 boys, and my current wife. And basically, there's 7 of us. It's a busy family. Everything in this book has been cooked for at least one of my members of family. I mean, I would like to say we all sit down at the same time and have a perfect sort of like, family dinner, but that normally only happens at the weekend or holidays. Like the teenagers are in and out like yo-yos, like the kids come back at different times from school. So actually, if you look in the book, we have like OnePan wonders, which are for one portion or two portions, which opens it up to all of those bachelors and people that work, single people that work in busy city. It's super helpful to have that.
Right.
I've also got batch cooking.
So let's talk about that. So what is batch cooking?
Do you say that word in America?
We do, but I just want to make sure everybody's...
Yeah, so batch cooking is, I've done a whole chapter on batch cooking, and the reason I love it, so what I do, why do you do batch cooking? Because I tend to always do that at the weekend when I've got more time, put on the tunes, have a little drink, and have a proper cook up. So why is it cool? Firstly, when you cook in a large quantity in your biggest pan, food just tastes better. It's like some kind of equation, like doing 4 portions of like bolognese doesn't taste as good as 20, right? It's just the way it works, right? But also, why don't you do it once really well? Do it when you've got time. Like those kind of dishes are much more economical. And most importantly, you can put all that love and care into something once, and then you can bag it up, fridge it up, freezer it up, and it's like the gift that keeps on giving. So like a month later, 2 months later, you come home late from work, you're really hungry, you do not want to start cooking, not even in one pan, right? And then you go in the freezer, pull out a bag, microwave, 2.5 minutes, and you've got an incredible meal full of love and care. And what I've done is I've given you like these singular like recipes here, all kinds of ones. But then on the next page, I've given you like 4 or 6 or 8 versions of things that you can do with it.
Wait, so leftovers aren't boring in the Jamie Oliver world?
No. I love leftovers. Leftovers are potentially my favorite thing. But what I've tried to give you is like mothership recipes that then kind of go off in all these different directions. But more importantly, I want your freezers full of like your cooking, not some company's cooking that doesn't care as much as you do, right? So for me, it's about love and care given to yourself and or your family, saving time, saving money.
But so what are some of these dishes that we're talking about?
Oh, well, so the first recipe was like a sweet potato chili, which is utterly delicious. But then you've got like nachos, quesadillas. We've got a really incredible soup. You've got like a chili bowl. You've got like a wrap. And there's all kinds of different things. We've got a 50-50 bolognese, which again, we take in lots of different directions.
So wait, 50-50, what does that mean?
50-50 is like in the book, that I'm a meat eater, I love fish, but where we all need to get to for ourselves, our families, our communities, and the planet, frankly, is getting the balance right, eating more fruits, veg, nuts, and seeds. So we do have meat in the book, and we've done it really well. But at the same time, we've tried to do meat reduced dishes. Have a cough,
Sorry.
Don't worry, it's okay. We've tried to do meat reduced dishes. So that basically means like a really good solid bolognese recipe. And instead of putting 1 kilo of mincemeat in, we'll put 500 grams, and then we'll use other sources of protein that's really, really good. And by the time you've simmered it and put love and care into it, you just wouldn't know, I'm telling you. And also that...
So it's pound for pound. So pound of ground beef, pound of lentils.
Yeah, or it could be any other pulse.
Yeah.
And by the time it's simmered away and taken in all the flavor, utterly delicious. And actually, that's a very that's what they were doing like 100 years ago. Throwing meat around left, right, and center was just not done. It was completely normal to have it rarely, if not 1 or 2 days a week.
And you even did a burger that way in the book too, right?
Absolutely. But again, with the bolognese, we've got different ways of doing it. Yeah, we did a burger. I'll try and find it if I can flick through. We did like a stuffed burger, which was like a new technique that I kind of came across just by playing. Look, come on, tell me that is not a beautiful thing. So again, it's of course everyone knows how to do a burger, hopefully, but this is just a different take on it.
Yeah, like what is in there that is gorgeous?
So you basically flatten it out, and then in the middle, and it shows you a few different ways to do it.
Right.
You've just got beautiful, you've got the pickles, you've got the pepper, you've got melted cheese, then you fold it up and cook it. So as it's cooking and getting golden and gnarly, it's all melting. It's melting from the inside out. And then that's what you get. It's kind of, look, it's not trying to replace the classic burger, because that's great, but what I love about the burger is it can come in different shapes and forms. You can have fun with it. You can have a laugh with it. If there's like a spice or something that you love, like the idea of trapping it on the inside and then enjoying it's pretty damn good.
All right,
and I did a veggie one as well.
Oh,
yeah.
What's the veg?
So you just got a whole bunch of stuff there. Have a look at that. So we use the grain pouches there. A few little.
All right, wait a minute. We need to talk about Marmite. There's Marmite in this recipe.
Yeah.
Okay, so Americans have just sort of in the last 5 years been getting Marmite. It's a love or hate thing. Can you tell us a little bit? Are you a lover or a hater?
No, I love Marmite. And I've used it there almost like a stock, like a broth. So that when you're doing like veggie or vegan versions of dishes, like you get a lot of flavor through meat and bones and all that good stuff, right? So if you're not going to have that, then where do you get the flavor? So there's a bunch of ways you can achieve depth of flavor, or umami.
Right.
And dry miso, mushrooms, dried mushrooms. But Marmite's kind of a really good, if you put that in water, you get kind of almost like a chicken beef stock kind of vibe.
Like a bouillon.
Yeah, absolutely. So then if you put that in your grains, and then you start forming your patties, you end up with something like much more tasty. So little really tricks good. Like that. So yeah, lots of nice. I mean, hopefully when you flick through, you'll see there's lots of color.
Right, it's beautiful. Can we talk a little bit about your career? Because one of our wonderful readers asked, when did you know you wanted to become a chef? And so this sort of takes us way back. So I want to talk about that a little bit.
I think I knew I wanted to be a chef when I was about 14, which is not very normal, really. But I'd started cooking in kitchens when I was about 8.
And how did you get around those labor laws?
Well, it was definitely illegal. But my dad.
It was your dad's restaurant.
I lived in a family business, and that's how I earned my pocket money. But it's an interesting one. I really struggled at school. I'm dyslexic and was really not getting. I was just not good at any class really, apart from art. And because it was so bad at school, and at the weekends it was so good, it was like, just a minute, this is terrible 5 days a week, and this is like amazing at the weekends. So by the time I was 14, I realized that I could do it. I realized I loved it. I knew that I could learn to run a kitchen and hopefully one day run a pub and a restaurant and have a little family business in the countryside somewhere. And I had a plan. I had a whole plan. When
did the plan take a left turn?
When I moved to London when I was 18 to work in lots of restaurants and get lots of experience and have some fun. And when I was 23, I think, I got discovered in the background of a documentary. And
what does discovery look like?
Discovery means that I was working a shift that I shouldn't have been working, and there was a film crew there, and I ended up getting edited in. They were filming for 3 weeks, right? And I ended up getting edited in to a whole bunch of this documentary, all across the hour that it went out.
And what were you doing in the restaurant at the time?
I was actually very young. I was kind of running shifts actually, so I was kind of. The kitchen I was working at didn't really have a hierarchy system, which was traditional, like head chef, sous chef, chef de partie. But I was basically doing a sous chef's job, writing menus, running shifts, loving it. And it was at the River Cafe in London. It was amazing. But basically, that's where the Naked Chef kind of kicked off, really. I never thought I'd ever be on TV, but so I just wrote down on paper, like, what I would do if I was to do TV, and it had a little line in it saying stripping down restaurant food to its bare essentials. And from the word stripping and bare, one of the TV people went naked. And the Naked Chef was born. I think I'm pleased that it happened. I mean, it's been an amazing 23 years or so. Seen and met some amazing people and places.
But then you took another left turn, right? When you started 15 and working with kids. So how did that happen, right? So you did 3 books as the Naked Chef?
Yeah, 3 books as the Naked Chef. Then I decided to leave that production company and do it myself. I really wanted to start a production company and film things slightly differently and tell stories slightly differently and get close-ups and show food in different ways. At the same time, I think I was, not even secretly, I was feeling I'd become quite successful at that point, and I think I was somewhere struggling with it a bit, and but also I was young and stupid and enthusiastic
and full of energy.
So I thought I'd use all the money that I'd saved to open a restaurant that was a charity that trained kids from troubled backgrounds, you know, prison, homeless, and just general mob of young people that were kind of lost and going in circles. So I did that, and it was...
Now, why did you think cooking would respond, those people would respond to cooking?
Because I knew what it did for me when I had nothing in common with these kids at all, apart from a really shit time at school and struggles at school. But they all had their own story, and certainly for the ones that got into prison, it was generally drugs or drug dealing and crime that had got them into jail. But it was kind of amazing. I mean, I think just it taught me. I mean, I wasn't a charitable person per se, or political, or a campaigner, or anything like that. But I think like visiting prisons is, you know, quite a troubling experience, and looking at patterns of, well, who's in there, why are they in there, and looking like what's the commonalities in that. And then in the end, we started getting fairly friendly with the parole service, which never gets talked about. The people that work, or the good people that work in parole, like they're kind of like father-like figures that see kids like they're about to come out of jail, and it's like, well, where can I place them where their biggest chance of success is, or to get on the right path and stay out of crime. So for us, I knew that food could do that. I knew the power of food, the power of learning, the power of learning a craft, and the confidence that it gives you. And it's interesting, like the reason I love to write cookbooks, I mean, you can tell that this is a really, really user-friendly cookbook. And I'm using my chef skills and my cooking skills to simplify it and take away as many barriers to not cook.
I feel like I should be a naked chef framing over here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can talk to them and not me.
No, it's fine. But the idea is to keep cooking and cooking skills alive, because if you can cook, then you have freedom. And particularly now when there's pressure on money, if you can cook, you have freedom. If you can't cook and it's a very financially stressful time, that's chaos. And it's a very dark place. So I've witnessed for 30 years some of the best cooking on the planet coming from very poor communities. So what's...
Cucina Povera, you see?
Yeah. Cucina Povera, poor people's cooking. And I think, but it's, when you can't cook, it's a very, very troubled place. So this really is my expression of trying to keep cooking skills alive. And then you say, well, why? There's cooking shows everywhere, there's magazines everywhere, there's cookbooks everywhere. But the planet, well, certainly in the developed world, we've never cooked less than now. I think it's true for the States, I'm fairly confident, but definitely in the UK, because I've done more sort of analysis, like we're cooking now less than before COVID, which was less than the decade before and the decade before that. So you could say, well, then am I and all the other chefs failing? But I don't think we're failing. I just think we're changing. And I think, you know, phones, technology, the way we live, the way that the food industry wants to solve all the problems for you, so you don't need to cook. We like that. We like that. Humans love problems solved, and we love convenience. But the problem is when none of us can cook, then that's not good for health. It's not good for the environment. It's not good for public health. I've already said that, but it's not good for culture either. So I'm really passionate about it. And from 15, training those kids for 23 years, trying to teach communities or the nation, or through TV and everything. That's what I seem to have found myself doing somehow. I don't quite know how it all happened, but
well, actually, that's a really interesting transition to this question, which is, what's been a few highlights for you in your career?
Working with Oprah Winfrey and cooking for her in my restaurant. That was pretty good. And I think I told you today when she came to 15 and 8, and when she left, the whole restaurant stood up and clapped. And that never, ever happens in Britain. It's not very British. But that's obviously a sign of how much they respect and love her. But what other highlights? I mean, I got invited to lunch at Buckingham Palace, and I got to have an intimate lunch with the Queen on a table no bigger than this.
What did she talk to you about cooking?
Yeah, we had I think exactly an hour at the table to the tea. Time to go. And
the hook.
Yeah. But that was amazing. She was very cool, actually. Very chatty, very nice, and her husband was hilarious and actually into cooking as well. He came.
Well, the way we see her is someone who likes to go to Scotland and be out
normal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite hard to be the normal when you're the Queen, right?
Be with the dogs in the fields.
Yeah, that was it was a pinch me moment that was pretty amazing. And the last highlight, it was a highlight actually. I got asked by Jennifer Aniston to be Brad Pitt's 40th birthday present, and she
wrapped you up with a bow.
Pretty much. She flew me out, and I cooked for an intimate dinner party for his 40th birthday, and that was another pinch me moment. And actually, I got to take a couple of my students
from 15.
From 15, they didn't have passports. Jen booked us like Virgin upper class, so my students were like within half a second before takeoff, they were in the free pajamas, and they were standing at the bar. They have a bar in upper class, and they didn't. There's the first flight of their life. We ruined them because basically the first flight of their life was to go to Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston, upper class Virgin, and obviously I had to sort of mentor them to not be too overexcited, but he was filming Troy at the time, and my wife was invited as well. And she doesn't actually like to fly. She hates to fly. She'll do anything to not fly. And but when Brad Pitt was the carrot at the end of the stick, you've never seen a woman fly so fast. She was in that plane, and but we were sitting around.
She didn't even care about the pajamas.
Honestly, and it was nice to have her there. She's never travelled me ever before. I just need to get
since.
Brad said, "Would you like to get?" But anyway, I served up the main course. And Brad's sitting there, and Jules is sitting there, and he's like, "Hey man, I was doing a sword scene today, and I got cut up, man." And Jules is like, "Oh no, that sounds terrible, like a real cut." And he goes, "Yeah, do you want to see it?" And starts unbuttoning his shirt and six pack, and then he goes, "Look," and she's like, "Oh, that's terrible," and I'm like, "Guys, hello, hi."
So that maybe wasn't a highlight.
It was a highlight.
Okay.
I'll take it. I mean, she'd have a green card. So,
All right. So let's talk about translation, because we've talked this week a lot about translating recipes around the world. Don't make me giggle. So you're in how many countries now?
Publishing.
Yeah.
86 countries, 55 languages, and very grateful for that.
So this is the 26th book in the United States. And so tell us about the process of sort of making food so universal for everyone around the world, and especially sort of even, cultures that seem so similar, and we share a language and we do things differently and we like different things.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I write different types of book. Some of the books I write are, I guess, maybe more foodie, more weekend, more heartfelt, and more kind of philosophical and emotional. This this ain't any of that. This is a machine. This is like the most user-friendly book I've ever written. This is a tool. It's no nonsense. Like, as a dyslexic, you know, I was fighting for white space. You know, I don't want loads of words to describe things. Just crack on, get it out, get it going. Minimum ingredients. And, you know, that's the ingredients, that's the end result. So kind of a no-nonsense book. So that's a very different book to write. So I basically create lots of rules and regulations, all with the intention of making it really easy for the guys to cook from. And then we test every recipe 4 times at least in my HQ, my kitchen, and then we send it out to strangers. And then I do the master edit of everything. And yeah, that's the kind of process on this book, really. But I mean,
well, wait. So, books and TV. Tell us how you approach them creatively differently. Because this book has a series here on BritBox that people can watch.
Yeah. Sometimes the book drives the series. Sometimes the series drives the book. My job is to make sure that the content, the recipes, is as connected and linked in to what's happening now for you in the world that we live in currently. So that means that, you know, I've just finished my book for next year. I've finished my book for this year already.
Oh.
So yeah, my new book comes out in September this year. I've already written it, but literally like a week ago. So when I say I've been writing it for a year and a half, the process is normally about a year and a half, but when I sign it off, it's normally 6 months and it's on the shelf. So what does that mean? It means that it's like the tonality of it, the kind of the nuance of it, the relevance of it is 6 months old. So it's very fresh, very fresh. So, and I think if you think about when I write a book, I write it from me to you. You would presume it's very British, but actually, I think that I never know where this book's going to go. Like I'm not even a million years would I think it would go to Japan or New Zealand but it does. So I think the world loves food, and I think there's lots of common denominators like rice dishes and noodle dishes and Italian food and, you know, comfort food that makes you happy. But I think really what I hear is, even if it's someone from a faraway place that doesn't speak my language, I think the connector is the passion and the energy for the food, and like getting connected with your hands and not pissing around and just, do you know what I mean? Not being chefy. I mean, everything that I do normally with publishing and TV is not really about being chefy. It's just about getting stuck in and having a go, and having a sense of humor about food, because I think you can. And it seems to have worked, right? I mean, it is. I don't know how, but
Do you have a preference, writing books or making TV?
Books is where my heart's at. Yeah, books is like my little happy place. Like, TV's beautiful, and I'll make it a happy place, but it's a very expensive, very demanding, very stressful medium, and you're always at the beck and call of the commissioner that's paying for it, and the commissioner might have, and often does have, a very bad relationship with food. So I'm paid to be the expert, and they're paid to commission programs. I'm listening to you, they're not, and I think I know, and I've probably got the best track, to be honest, I've probably got the best track record on the planet of listening and thinking what is timely and useful now, not the commissioner. The commissioner is really kind of like a creative accountant. They're managing an account, a budget. So I happen to have a really good one now, but in the years gone by, I've had commissioners that are in charge of me that know nothing about food.
I bet a lot of people
and live
feel
out
that
of
way at their
styrofoam
jobs,
hats.
right?
Yeah, so that's not helpful to the process. Whereas the book is mine. The book. My publisher will allow me to publish anything that I'm passionate about, and even if he's not sure, he'll go, but are you really passionate about it? And if I am, then he lets me do whatever I want. So yeah, the books are my happy place. There's something beautiful about, because they're like little gifts. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to just create little double page spreads of beautiful things that hopefully you'll have with your friends and family.
Colbert.
Yeah, I did that on Colbert the other day. But it's really nice, you know. I mean, a lot of people have cookbooks in their kitchens as well. And often, if I ever see people in their kitchens on social media, this, that, or the other, and you know, if someone's commented on my Instagram or whatever, like you can kind of click on their profile, and it only takes a second to go through their own private pictures, and they're in their kitchen. And very often, I'll see that book sitting there, spine out or face out. And so I feel like I'm very lucky to be in people's lives in quite an intimate way. And yeah, I think in lockdown, when I did the Keep Cooking and Carry On series, I don't know if you guys saw it, but
it was on Hulu here, so
yeah,
people did see
and it was
here.
all over the internet as well. Basically, I was doing kind of daily recipes in lockdown, and it was pretty massive, wasn't it? And I think like it was very humble cooking. I went from cooking recipes to cooking principles, and the principles would allow us all to take part in these recipes. But I think you could tell in my eyes, like there was like, we're in this. Like I was happy and optimistic, but also you could feel a little bit of the worry and the pain that we all had. And it was a very shared experience. And I think probably people don't talk about cooking. Cooking can be many, many things. For better and for worse, but also like you can cook to be happy, you can cook to be comforted, you can cook to console your broken heart, having lost people that you love, you can cook for romance, you can cook to get fit or build muscle mass, you can cook for hundreds of reasons. But I think lockdown was like one of those moments where like lots of our freedoms have been taken away, but the cooking still remained like within our control. So I'm really proud of that. And I'm really proud of that as well because I commissioned my own TV program. So I didn't wait for a commissioner to commission me. I just said like, we're all doing it. And everyone was like looking at it like, well, we need someone to approve it. I'm like, no, we're doing it. This is public service. We're doing it. And we cracked on. And we...
and you had the whole family involved, right?
We had the whole family involved. And we were the first non-news bespoke lockdown content to go prime time in the UK, and I'm really proud of that. And it's because I used my common sense and got on with it. And yeah, I think cooking. Like I said earlier, if you can't cook, you've taken away quite a lot of freedom and hope, I think. And
so people mentioned a lot of barriers to entry for people to get started, and this book is a great place. But one of our readers asked a question about sort of favorite pan or dish, but I want to expand the question and say, like, as a new person, what kit do you really need to get yourself started?
Okay, so at the front of the book, I have the contents and then an appropriately short introduction, and then I've got this, which is basically like the kit that I use, which is pretty minimal, right? And then the basic essentials that I think you should have in your kitchen, which is just salt, pepper, vinegar, and olive oil. But this is pretty much what most of the book's made out of, you know, along with like, you know, you don't need like loads of knives. You just need like a good chef's knife and a good little paring knife, a small knife, and maybe a serrated kind of bread knife, carving knife. I mean, that'll get you out of 99% of everything. A speed peeler, a thick chopping board. The industry likes to sell you lots of like cheap stuff because it kind of looks like really good value, but I think it's definitely worth getting less stuff that's better quality and that will last a lifetime, and your children will, you know, inherit it one day. And then the only other gadget that I'm very passionate about is a pestle and mortar, which sounds maybe medieval or prehistoric or some other word. But yeah, pestle and mortar, like if you're serious about cooking, everyone needs one, like marinades, spice blends, dressings, pastes, you know, dips. That's where flavor comes from. And yes, I hope you all have one. And
can we talk? Okay, so that's great on the equipment list. Do you want to talk a little bit about sort of your favorite herbs and spices and sort of flavors and what people should kind of do?
Yeah, I treat the pantry like a kind of, think of it like anything you collected as a kid, right? So you don't have to go and buy it all at once. But I think the nice thing about the pantry is the vast majority of it is non-perishable. It doesn't go off. You're not going to waste it. From a sort of spice, dried herb point of view, first of all, it's the most nutrient dense food on the planet by weight. So like, it's really good for you. Most of what's good for you about it, we don't know about. Like, nutrition and science hasn't caught up with the visible and invisible benefits of spices and herbs. But most importantly right now, flavor, like incredible flavor. So I mean, in the book, you kind of feel it. Like, if you look at the average American basket and the proteins, I love the idea that you could take a chicken breast and you turn around to your pantry that you've been collecting and working on, you know, spice blends and spices, herbs, pastes, you know, all the kind of, you know, we're so blessed, like the world's become a small place and you've got soy sauces and misos and mustards and vinegars and blah, blah, blah. The idea that you can take a chicken breast and take it on a holiday when you can't go on one. You know, I'm going to go to Morocco tonight, you know, not physically, but culinary. Yeah, we're going to Morocco, you know, and it only takes 3 ingredients to go to Morocco, you know, Spain, France, Italy, you know. I love that. I love that you can travel the world through food. And then, you know, with your mobile phone and the internet now, you can get like some amazing inspiration from these countries. And so I hopefully when you flick through this book, you'll start quite quickly seeing little accents of many countries around the world, around the Mediterranean, and the way I cook them and the way I finish them would be representative of that in some way, shape or form.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Is there a recipe in here that we haven't talked about? Because we have like literally time for one more question, and then we want to remind people where they can get a signed copy of your book.
Well, look, let's just go for some sweet things.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I really like this chapter of dessert. Standard tray that you guys have already got. Your pan as well. We do desserts in the pan. Chocolate party cake. Who doesn't need a party cake for whatever the party is? Birthday party, this, that, or the other. I've got petals pudding.
Now, why is this? Is this her favorite thing?
It's absolutely her favorite, which is a lemon meringue.
So remind us, how old is Petal?
Petal is now 13.
So she's your middle kid.
Yeah,
right?
she'd be embarrassed that I'd even mentioned her name. But it's thinking like lemon meringue, but in a slightly quicker, more contemporary way. So I've got the pre-bought meringues that you smash up to like a crunchy dust, and then this beautiful kind of lemon pie. And at the bottom, there's this gorgeous, gooey blackcurrant jam, delicious combo, and a different expression of that old classic. Sticky toffee pudding.
Okay, so Americans don't get this yet. So tell us, you're absolutely crazy for it. Tell us what we're missing.
Americans will get this.
Okay.
I think see, I think that looks gorgeous. Someone the other day said, it doesn't look very nice. And I'm like, it does. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. I said, well, put it in your gob and let's see what. But you will love it. It's not they. This is not about where you
Us
come
and them,
from.
right?
No. This is a human level. Like, if you put this in your mouth, then just on a genetic level, we all bond through love. But basically,
and dates. Right?
Let me explain it, because everything I've just said is not useful at all.
Thanks.
It's spongy. It's spongy. It's got a little spice, very subtle, but it's got like sticky toffee fudgy pudding, you know, a little bit of like vanilla ice cream, hot and cold. It's a home run.
So you do know pudding here is one specific thing, and pudding in the UK is dessert. So
Yeah.
so.
But let's not argue about that. We were around before you were, so.
This to me is the miracle dessert. So tell us about this, because
okay, so you've gone back to the baked lemon cheesecake.
Yes.
But we've got a Biscoff base.
Yeah.
And I burn the butter, sorry. So it's kind of got that nuttiness about it. Absolutely delicious with rippled raspberries.
But
It's
15 minutes cook.
Yeah, 15 minutes. Well, this you could do an uncooked cheesecake, which is delicious, but this is so good. It's like we put the base in 5 minutes, then we put the cheesecake mix in for 15 minutes, and then we ripple it and we give it another 5 minutes. So I gave it to Martha Stewart yesterday, and she loved it.
And she also loved that you did it in the food processor, not the mixer.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to wipe out the food processor between. I mean, it's really, really smarter than you're giving yourself credit for.
Yeah, no, it's smart, and I will give myself credit for it. But no, it's we try to keep the washing up to a minimum, and when we do use something like a food processor, like I'll write the recipe so it's in order, so even when it's dirty, you can use the next stage without having to wash it because it all adds to the story.
And we need to give everyone Martha's trick that we both learned yesterday.
Oh, put your thumb up the hole of the bowl of the food processor, and then you can turn it, and
the blade doesn't fall out.
And the blade doesn't fall out. This is new news for me. So yeah, next time you've got a bowl in your hand, stick your thumb in the hole, and it won't fall out.
When you tip it.
And yes, Martha taught me quite a lot yesterday, and I was happy to be the recipient of information that I didn't have. She knows
her stuff.
A doyenne, yes.
Oh, very nice
Yeah,
word.
so look, honey orange tray with chocolate sauce.
Delicious.
We got beautiful with cherries. We've got an afternoon, which is kind of like a tiramisu that's had a kind of love affair with kind of afternoon tea, scones and cream. It's kind of cool. Ice buns. We got an apple custard tart, a rolled carrot cake, blondie cake, ripple froyo, toffee apple buns. There's a lot of stuff here.
It's really, really great book, Jamie. Thank you so much. Can you remind everyone where they can buy a signed copy of this book? You're going to finish signing all these?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to sign a whole bunch of books, and you can go to premiercollectibles.com/Oliver. premiercollectibles.com/Oliver, and get your copy signed by me. Guys, that was great. Kim, thank you very much for trying to manage me. Thank you all for your questions. Bless your hearts. And thank you to everyone, Premier Collectibles, for having us on your platform. Good luck to you all. Happy New Year. Lots of love to you. Happy cooking. Keep cooking. And take care. Lots of love.
Hey, this is John Acuff, New York Times best-selling author of 7 books and someone who's done a live signing. If you like the one you just watched, make sure you check out our YouTube channel. It's full of amazing authors having great conversations and signing books for viewers just like you. So make sure you subscribe, and thanks for watching today.